Hi everyone, it's Miss Curdy here, and today we're going to do some extra practice for 16-4. It is a little bit tricky, so it's always good to have some extra practice. A couple of things just to remember. Perimeter is the distance around a figure, and the way we find it is we add up all of the sides. And I always think of perimeter equals plus, perimeter and plus. We're going to add. Area is the amount of space inside the figure. And to find it, we do length times width. It ends up looking a lot like an array back from topic 1. So in this lesson, we are going to be looking to find figures that have the same perimeter, but a different area. So the same distance around the shape, but a different amount of space inside of the shape. And the way we do that, well, first off, let's look at some examples. So here I've got 3 figures that have the same perimeter, but a different area. So let's go ahead and find those perimeters and the areas for each of these shapes. So perimeter, again, is on the outside. I know this side is 5 feet. This side across from it is as well. And I've got 1 foot on this side, so it'll be 1 foot on that side. So 5 plus 1 is 6, and I'm going to double that to get 12 feet. And then the area would be length times width, so 5 times 1, which is 5. And remember, we use square feet for that. Over here, let's find the perimeter and the area. 4 times 2 is 8, so I've got 18 square feet inside. And then to find the length, I know that this is going to be 4, and this side will be 2. 4 plus 2 is 6, and I'm going to double that. And again, I have 12 feet. So this shape was 12 feet around. This shape is 12 feet around. Over here, area is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9 square feet. And our perimeter would be 4 groups of 3. I can tell that this is a square, and I would have 12 feet. So again, we have the same perimeter for each of these shapes, but a different area. Let me just show you what these 8 square feet would look like. I know I've got 4 feet this way and 2 here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those are those square feet that are inside. So why does this matter? For example, we look at a problem like this, where if you're designing a backyard or if you want to get a puppy and you know you're going to have 12 feet of fencing, which way would you design your yard? And this one's going to be your best option because there's the most amount of space inside. This only has 5 square feet inside, where this one has 9 square feet. So depending on how you design your figures, you can have the same perimeter, but different areas. When I'm doing this, I always like to think of PLAW. And I know that these are the 4 key pieces that I'm always going to have in mind: our perimeter, our length, our area, and our width. So whenever you're working on these types of problems, think of your PLAW. We have the perimeter here, we have our length, we have our area, and we have our width. All right, so let's get started on trying to solve some of these problems where we have the same perimeter, but a different area. So these will come in 2 different formats. The first way you'll see it is like in exercise 1, where we ask you to describe a figure that has the same perimeter but a different area as a figure that we give you. So we'll give you one example and you'll be able to find the area and perimeter here, and then we want you to find another shape. Sometimes we might just give you the perimeter and you're going to figure out both shapes. And oftentimes you can make 2, 3, 4 or more shapes that have the same perimeter but a different area. It all depends on what numbers you're given. Sometimes there's only 2 different ones you can make. Sometimes there's more. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So what we need to do is we need to find a shape that has the same perimeter but a different area. So before we start doing that, we actually just want to figure out what we're working with here. And again, I always think of PLAW. I know I've got my length and width here, so we'd have 3 feet across and 2 feet on the side T. And now I'm able to find the perimeter and the area. 3 plus 2 is 5, and that will be another 5. So I know that my perimeter is 10 feet, and my area is going to be 3 times 2, which would be 6 square feet. So now that I know what that area and perimeter is, I can start to find a shape that has the same area and perimeter. So the same perimeter but a different area. So let me take a look at our perimeter. We have 10, and I know I need to have numbers that when I add them up, I have the perimeter of 10. So I'm going to break this up in half, and I know that my length and my width need to equal 5 so that when I double it, it will equal 10. So I'm going to think of another combination where my length and my width would equal 5, and I just can't use 3 and 2. So I can use a 4 and a 1. So now I know my length and width is going to be 4 and 1, and there'll be another 4 and 1 on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and just sketch out what that would look like, and it's not to scale, and that's okay. So I'd have 4 feet on one side and 1 foot on the other side, so that when I add them together, I know it's still going to have a perimeter of 10 feet. And my last step is to find the area of that by doing length times width, and 4 times 1 is 4 square feet. So I found that figure, I drew them, and I'm going to label them. I found the area of each, and now I want to circle the one that has the larger area. So I've got 6 square feet over here and 4 squared over here. So I know that this one is going to be the larger area. So again, both of them will take 10 feet to go around, but this one will have 6 square feet inside. This one will only have 4 square feet inside. All right, let's move on to our next problem. Here I need to describe 2 figures that have a perimeter of 14 inches. So I'm going to take a 14 over here and a 14 over here. Again, I know my length and my width need to equal 7. And I can do this a variety of different ways. I can have a 6 and a 1. I can have a 5 and a 2, a 4 and a 3. So let's do one where we've got a 6 and a 1 for our length and width. And then we can do a 5 and a 2 for our length and width. So now I'm going to draw our shape. We'll have 6 feet and 1 foot, 6 feet and 1 foot. And over here we'll have 5 feet and 2 feet. I already know that our perimeter is 14. And now I can find the area by doing length times width. 6 times 1 is 6 square feet. And then here I've got 5 times 2. So this area is 10 square feet. So although they both have the same perimeter, this one will give me the bigger area. All right. Here's another one where we give you the one shape. And here we need to figure out the 2 shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, we always want to find out what the area and perimeter is that we are working with. And I know 4 plus 2 is 6, so I'll have another 6 over here. So my perimeter is going to be 6 feet, and my area 4 times 2 is 8 square feet. So I need to find a shape that also has a perimeter of 6, and I know my length and width are going to my perimeter is 12 feet. 12 feet, so I know that my length and width need to equal 6, and I just can't use a 4 and a 2. Let's make a square. Let's have our length and width be 3. So 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet. So my area is going to be length times width, which would be 9 square feet. So now I've made a new shape that has a slightly bigger area, even though the perimeters are exactly the same. So I've described that shape, I drew them and labeled them, I found the area of each, and then I circled the one with the larger area. All right, so now we want to find a perimeter of 20 inches. So I need 2 shapes that have 20. At this time, go ahead and pause the video and try this one out on your own, and then come back to see one way we can solve it. All right, so I know my perimeter is 20, so my length and my width need to equal 10. So there's several different ways I can do this. I think I'm going to try a 5 and a 5, and then a 9 and a 1, and let's see what happens with that. So here's my square that is 5 inches, 5 inches. We want to make sure we're always labeling. And then here we have 1 inch and 9-inch. And now I can go ahead and find my perimeters and my areas. We already know our perimeter is going to be 20 inches because they are going to have the same, and that's what they gave us. And now to find our area, I'm going to do length times width. 5 times 5 is 25 square inches. And then here I've got 9 times 1, which is just 9 square inches. So this shape over here has a much bigger area. It has 25 square inches, where over here is only 9, yet they have the same exact perimeter. But this one has a much, much larger area. All right, so 2 more. Again, please pause the video, give these a try on your own, and then come back to check your work with me. So now I need to describe 2 figures that have a perimeter of 16 inches. So I know my length and width need to equal half of that, which would be 8. So I'm going to try another square of 4 and 4 over here, and then maybe a 6 and a 2 on this side. So here I'm going to have a square with 4 inches all the way around, and I know that perimeter is going to be 16 inches. Thinking about my PLA, I always want my length, my width, my perimeter, and my area. And 4 times 4 is 16 square inches. So every once in a while, you'll get a shape where the perimeter and the area have the same number, but they mean very different things. 16 inches is a linear measurement, and then here we've got our square inches, which are a bunch of squares inside. And then over here, let's draw our 2 inches and our 6 inches. I already know my perimeter is 16, and now my area is going to be length times width, so I'll have 12 square inches over here. So in this case, this shape is bigger. One helpful hint is anytime you have a square shape, it will maximize your area. The more like a square you are, the bigger the area is going to be. The less square shaped you are, the smaller your area is going to be. All right, last one. We need a perimeter of 24 inches. And I know my length and width will have to equal half of that. Let's go with another square, 6 and 6. And let's do an 11 and a 1 and see how different they're going to be. So here I've got 6 inches all the way around. And over here, this would look like a long, skinny rectangle. 11 inches and 1 inch. So my perimeter, of course, is 24. And now my area is going to be 6 times 6, which is 36 square inches. And then over here, 11 times 1 is just 11 square inches. So this one is much bigger than this long, skinny rectangle. So again, the more square-like you are, the larger your area will be. And then the thinner and longer, the less area you'll have. So that is how to find shapes that have the same perimeter and the same area. You always want to start with that perimeter and find your missing side lengths. We know that whatever our perimeter is, our length and width is going to be half of that. And then we can use that to come up with actual numbers for our length and width. And then we go ahead and make our shapes. And last step is to find your area and then compare which one is bigger. If this is still tripping you up a little bit, make sure you stop by and see your teacher for some more practice. Have a great day, and let your teacher know if you have any questions, and then tune in for our 16-5 video, which is finding shapes that have the same area but a different perimeter. That's all for now. I'll see you back here for another video soon. Bye.